Welcome to the Last in Line podcast, where we discuss faith, hope, and truth in the lives of amazing servant leaders. You are in the right place if you crave purpose and if you hunger for a life of significance. This podcast applies biblical truth to our daily lives, and we pray that you walk away encouraged and inspired. This is the Last in Line podcast.
Gentlemen, I'd like to welcome back Setema Gali to Last in Line podcast. Setema was on the show a couple years ago, and so if you'll remember, he is a global keynote speaker, trainer, author, and coach. He is a results coach, contrary to the life coach and business coach model that's out there. He teaches on 4 pillars of his program, which are physical, spiritual, relational, and financial. He is a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, was a part of Super Bowl 36 in 2002. After an injury, he left and became an entrepreneur. He struggled and had highs and lows in real estate and the mortgage business. We talk a lot about some of his early sales career, door-to-door sales that really will humble you and create a work ethic and just this hunger to succeed eventually if you make it through that, which he did. So now he has coached over 150 immersion events, and they don't do those anymore, but the lives he's impacted over the years doing those immersions is countless, and those principles will last with those students for a lifetime. And so he really gets down to in the conversation, we talk a lot about spirituality. We talk how God has transformed his life, but also the grit that is required in the grind. And there's an edge about Setema that is just resilient, and he refuses to fail, refuses to lose. He's been there, done that, and he just now, I think, in the back of his mind, and we talk a little bit about it, that still, that lingers and that motivates and inspires him to continue to press on through hard times. And he's a father of sons. He's teaching those guys the same principles and morals and virtues that he practices on a daily basis. He's very big into his physical fitness, as you probably see him on Instagram, but he is just he's a wealth of knowledge around how to be effective, how to succeed, how to get out of your own way, how to quit defeating yourself by this defeatist mentality and self-talk that can be paralyzing. He is committed to the people he works with, and he's committed to being a success and playing a role of significance in people's lives. So I am excited for you to hear Setema again. So without any further ado, welcome back, Setema Gali, to Last in Line podcast. Setema Gali, welcome back to Last in Line podcast. It's been a couple years. How you been?
Man, fantastic, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Those boys are growing up, right? Your kids are growing like crazy. Now, how many do you have? How many sons? Do you have a daughter, I think? So what do you?
I've got 3 boys. No, just 3 boys, 18, okay. 15, 12.
Okay, I don't know why I thought there was a daughter somewhere in there, but yeah, 3 boys. Wow, I got 3 boys, and then my last one's a girl, and she's the youngest. She's 17, and 3 older brothers. I mean, enough said. It's an uphill battle for her in the dating world. So, which is to say, there is not one of those yet. So, thankfully, man, I reached out because I noticed one of your posts about you're launching a book, which I'm usually the last to know stuff. So I'm sure everybody in your inner circle already knew that, but I'm like, okay, I gotta get out there, shoot him a message and learn about this book. And it turns out this is not just a quick read on the toilet type book. This is a long, let's not say long. It is a thorough, it is a detailed structure of your coaching program. Let's just say, am I close?
Yeah, we used to run this program called Immersion. It was our
Mm-hmm.
4-day boot camp. Immersion for Shield Maiden for the women, Titan for the men. And not all, but a lot of the core fundamental foundational principles are in the book. The models, really how we helped our people go crack their first 6 figures, get their 7 figures, get their 8 figures, lose 150 pounds, launch the podcast, launch a new business, create streams of income, get the jet. Like there were so many results that we had helped our clients get. And that experience was it was a big ticket. So it wasn't like anyone could just stroll into the experience. This
Mm-hmm.
book allows anybody off the street to get the book and to read through. And if you do the exercises, you go create the most amazing life.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you've got an amazing team, and how now when you started what you call results coaching, because I know the term life coach gets used a bunch, but for your stuff, I think you like the term results coach. So when did you transition? I know you were in the NFL. You've got a ring to prove it with the Patriots. You got into real estate and the mortgage business. In fact, I think I remember you telling me you had some pretty low lows
Yeah.
in your early professional life. So, how did you transition? Just to start basic for someone that didn't hear our first podcast 2 years ago, how did you transition from sort of that real estate world into what you're doing now?
So when I had hit the bottom, right, 2008 recession, 2009 broker than a joker, I sell the Super Bowl ring, 2010 filed the bankruptcy, big bank. I mean, just there was 8+ figures, right?
Mm.
And by 2011, I'm in my mid to late 30s. Like nothing's working. So I get recruited to go knock door to door. So I go knock door to door as a door to door salesman, 100% commission, living in apartments, knocking doors for 20 to 23 weeks of the summer. It's like half the year where you're knocking doors, and it's just pure commission, cold doors, neighborhoods, cities, towns, city permits. And, that changed my world. I had a 5-year plan. And after year 3, again, I had a team, was recruiting, was teaching, training them, and money was coming in. It was rolling in. And something happened after year number 3. I'm out and down in Bakersfield, California. I'm knocking with the team, and I just feel this strong spiritual, the voice, I call it. Spirit of God, I call it the voice, was like, you're done. It's time to go. It's time to do what you were born to do, which is what I do today. I coach, I mentor, I speak, I transform the lives of men and women in their physical health, their spirituality and purpose, their relationships, marriage and family, and of course in their business, their finance, revenue. And that's the transition. God said go. And so I left the doors. I came into this field. And I've been doing this since 12, almost 13 years now. It's been an amazing run. And again, we're just getting started.
That's good, man. And I'm gonna edit this out, but I need to let somebody in? Someone's trying to get in. Says note taker. Setema's note taker. Do
Oh,
I
no, you
need?
don't have to do that. No, that's
Oh,
okay.
okay. All
My,
right.
my,
Cool.
my Zoom always just um, kicks on to any Zoom that I
Okay.
get on. It just automatically transcribes. So you're good.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to make sure somebody wasn't twiddling their thumbs waiting on me back there. But
No, you're
no.
good.
So yeah. Door to door. That's no joke. I've never done it, but I've done kind of the lowest end of, I guess, the next step up of that, and just rough competitive shark water sales. And yeah, it's not ideal, but obviously it builds some things in you. What are some things you took away? Maybe some character traits, maybe some resilience. What did you? Because God doesn't waste anything, right? So before the voice, what did you sort of refine in yourself that makes you really good at what you do today?
Man, the Doors was like the greatest thing to happen to me. It was so good because I was so humbled, right? I was kind of stripped. I was very empty. I was a shell of my former self. So I'm praying to God, God, please, like, I just want to go change lives. Well, you cannot change lives when you are broke. You
Mhm.
cannot change lives when you are empty. You can only give what you got. And if you are
Mhm.
not filled, nobody's getting anything. So God sends me to the Doors, and I'm like, this is hard work. And I
Mhm.
learned how to grind again. Like you talk about, my diet was Ruffles, potato chips, Doritos, and Red Bulls. And every once in a while, I'd switch to Monster. I mean, that was it. I'd eat a Subway sandwich for lunch. knock all day, knock into the night. So I learned how to grind. I also developed this thing called grit. Like the doors is not for the faints of heart. It is not for the weak. You knock and knock and talk and knock and talk and knock and talk, and you do not make money unless you close deals and have deals installed. So you're knocking, you're overcoming objections. You got to learn a sales skill. You got to develop these, I call them assassin-like skills, like knocking on a door, someone who's like packing a gun behind them because they think you're going to rob them. And, within 30 minutes, you're out of the house. The system's getting installed. You've accessed their bank account to do an auto pay. And then you got to, even if you're good at it, you got to teach your guys how to do that. So you got to be a mentor. You got to be a leader. Then you got to motivate these guys because there are July is rough, because you're not in the middle of April, May, June. By July, it's hot. It's like, August is easy because everyone's like, hey, we can see the finish line. So grind, grit. I learned how to hustle again.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were days where I had 3 sales and everyone's like, dude, you got 3 sales already. And it's like 9:30. I'm like, no, I need one more. And I'm knocking on our door at like 10:05, getting in there, doing a phone call at 10:45. The guy shows up at 11:30, installs this thing by 1 a.m. That is hustle. That is hard. Like people think, oh, I just want to be like an influencer. No, I earn my stripes. 100% commission. And every one of my team was 100% commission. So we got correlation meetings. We're motivating. We're inspiring. We're doing cheers. We got spiffs. We're eating at Buffalo Wild Wings. And this is going on for 21, 22 weeks.
That's so good. Wow.
It changed my world, brother. It changed my life.
Yeah. Well, and dude, so talk to me about the value of, because a lot of people were talking about, viewing the past and how we look at the past and not dwelling in the past when it's negative. Even when it's good, you don't rest in your laurels, right? You move forward and you got to forward think. But what's the value in you maybe now remembering some of those days that built who you are now? Like realizing, I don't want to ever go back. That could be a motivator, right? To never go back. So do you ever kind of look back on that and go, man, that was valuable, even though I sort of hated a lot of it?
So I read scriptures, right? The word of God.
Yeah.
And there's scriptures that say, and they did retain in remembrance, and they did remember often what God had done for them. And they did always retain in remembrance what God had done for them. The doors, I think about it almost every day.
Do you?
Like I don't live where I live and how I provide and travel. And I don't do any of this without the doors. That was 3 years in a wilderness, from Augusta, Georgia to Greenville, South Carolina, Des Moines, Iowa, Austin, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico, like all these different spots in the wintertime. I think about the doors and I'm so grateful. Like if I had to do it again, I would absolutely do it again. It changed my world. And I tell my sons,
wow,
one of the greatest things you could do, there's 2 of them. I served a mission for my church. So that was a 2-year mission, right? Where you put everything on pause, go teach the word of God. And the other thing is go knock doors for a living. Go learn how to sell. It's not for everybody, but man, if you can get that sales skill, I never even worry if I have to go knock doors again because I can sell anything.
Right.
I have a skill set that allows me to provide for my family anytime, any place, anywhere with anything.
That's right. Yeah, you can. So tell us what makes a great, and that's not what I want to talk about, but I find this fascinating because I've been in sales for almost 3 decades and it'll be 3 decades this year. But, I'm in medical sales for the last 17 or 18. But talking to doctors with egos is a different animal, different dynamic, but it's worked out well. But talk to us, what makes a good salesperson? And then some of those skills translate into just being a good husband and father. So what are
all
those?
of them.
Yeah. So what's the nuts and bolts of being successful at gaining that influence with a potential buyer?
Yeah. So I simple. I call it my H6 formula. My H6 formula, the first one is that you are hungry. A great salesman, you got to be hungry. Like you can't just be, I heard this the other day where it's like, there's kids who have, bread and peanut butter and jam in the cupboards, and they can go and they look in the freezer and there's tons of food in the house, and they're like, there's no food in the house.
Yep.
They're so used to having abundance. They ain't. But then you take a kid who's grown up with nothing, and he's got to go look, and he will do anything it takes, whatever it takes, to go get some food because he is hungry. So that's the first one when I recruited guys. I'm like, if you don't have big goals that you're hungry for, this job ain't for you, because it is not for the faint of heart. And you got to have some big, lofty, ambitious, right? Big, hairy, audacious goals. You got to want something that's going to force you. So that's the hunger, right? Are you hungry? Number 2 is humble. A great sales guy is going to be humble and teachable. I was 36 years old when I went to doors. I studied the sales manual. I memorized the sales manual. I memorized the door pitches, how to transition into the house, how to overcome objections. To this day, I'm like, put me on the doors, I could sell. I have so much confidence. I'm like, put me in a car lot, I'll outsell the car dudes. I guarantee it. Because I was so humble and teachable. I was so open. I would take notes. My walls were covered with big sticky Post-its. I just became a student. And when the student is ready, the teacher always appears. And I had teachers and mentors and revelations. So hungry, humble. Number 3 is hustle. Like, hustle evens the playing field. You don't have to be talented, and you do got to have some natural sales skill.
Yeah.
But man, if you can hustle, if you can move and groove, whether you're dialing, picking up, now today there's auto dialers. Back in the day when I was calling, we had to dial ourselves. And on the doors, like, you're moving, you're keeping notes, you're tracking the homes, who's not home. There's a hustle mentality that just says, I'm going to give you extra effort, extra energy, extra enthusiasm. Like, it's extra, period. And you see this on the basketball court, on the football field. There's guys who just aren't as talented, but damn, their hustle, it closes the gap, and then they pass. So being hungry for something, being humble and teachable, like willing to hustle. And then number 4, probably one of my favorites, great sales guy, great father, great leaders, your heart. Scripture says where your heart is where your treasure is. And your heart, like, you gotta be in alignment. Everything you're doing has to align with some type of purpose. Because there's guys without purpose. It's like the old adage, right? You get to the top, you climb to get to the top, to realize, man, this ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. This is not what I wanted, but I built something I didn't want. Now, you put your heart and soul into it. And like, for me, my heart was like my family, my parents, my God, my ancestors, my children, my relationships. Like, I wanted to show my parents and my God and my family, like your dad is a hero. And my best days were not football. Every day, every year moving forward is my best days. I'm going to show you boys how to do it. So, right, heart. The last 2 is, the 5th one is what I call hours. Great sales guy's going to work the hours. He's got to put in the hours no matter what. Like, you cannot skip the hours. Yeah. And one way or another, you got to get that first 1,000 hours under your belt. And so I collapsed time. This is the truth. I woke up at 6 to 10. I just studied for 4 straight hours. When I was cooking and eating breakfast, I was studying. When I was at correlation meeting, I was taking notes. When I was in the car ride out, I was studying. On the way home, I was studying. At night, I'd role play for about an hour. I literally added about 8 to 9 hours a day, not knocking doors, but I took, so again, just do the math. 9 hours in one day, Monday through Friday, that's 45 hours I would add. Add about 2 to 3 hours from Sunday. Now we're at like 48 hours a week. Times that by 22 weeks, we're talking almost 1,000 hours of extra practice and hours of reps. I call it PTR, practice, train, and rehearsed. Man, I was like, I closed the gap. Yeah. I worked the hours. Like, look, like, if you want to sell, you got to work the hours, whether it's morning hours, evening hours, primetime hours, you got to put in your hours. And then the 6th one is honor. Like, honor, like, do it right. Represent your family, right? Represent and be someone who can be remembered because you did the job the right way, right? You had integrity. So That again, I
That's
call it my
good.
H6 formula of like, this is what makes a great sales guy. This is what makes a great worker. This is what makes a great leader, great father,
Yeah.
great husband. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. And man, if I'm gonna steal any of that book's thunder, man, let me know and we'll just leave it. We'll leave it for the person to go get it. But no, when you're talking about those are all just staples, man, to I mean, not just sales, of course, like you said, just being an effective leader and call and walking in that calling that God has put on all of us as his children. And you know, you've heard the saying hustle beats talent when talent won't hustle. And you know, the best salesman in the world, if he doesn't have the hours or the honor, you know, if he's missing a couple of that puzzle pieces of that puzzle, you will pass him eventually.
Yeah.
The guy with it will pass him. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. That's gold, dude. Why did you you mentioned I think briefly why the immersions kind of were phased out because you wanted that framework to be accessible maybe to more people, but is that the only reason or what was the
Look, like immersion is it's a $10,000 ticket. So if my goal is to reach people, most people aren't going to come up with 10 grand, take a week out of their life, stroke another 50 grand to join our groups.
yeah.
And there's just not. So yeah, I was coaching, a couple hundred people a year, or I could go coach 200,000 or 2 million people a year through the book, through our programs, through our curriculum. It's like we say, like, in order to go to the next level, the old ways got to die. You got to bury it. You got to be done. And even the voice, again, the voice was like, immersions, it's time to be done. And all the clients who came through immersion are like, Setema, that changed my life. I mean,
Yeah.
immersion was unreal. What we did with bags on the boats, on the mountains, on the beaches, in the sand, in the classroom, like 5 a.m. till midnight, 4 days in a row. And so, again, I knew what I wanted. And when it's time to move on, sometimes you got to break up. You got to let go
Yeah.
of something. And it was time to let go of immersion because that was the only thing we did.
Yeah.
And then there's just a new phase of
Yeah.
coaching and the new curriculum.
Yeah. And from what I was reading, I guess you guys were up in that, I mean, just barely south of 1,000 people that you impacted in those immersion classes, right? I mean, it's up there. And
Yeah.
so, man, what are you going to miss most about those, you think?
Well, I've been done for over a year and
Okay.
I don't miss it. Like it's a young man's game. It's like when I say young man's game, I'm almost 50. So I started this thing like, man, 12 years ago. So when I was still in my 30s. You can wake up at 3 a.m. You can pull all-nighters and late nighters. You can have the intensity. When you're like close to 50, it's just a different ball game. And
That's right.
I always knew I would be in bigger arenas. I mean, I've keynoted 5,000, 10,000 people events. That's where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
reaching the masses.
That's right. That's right. Now you have four, is it three or four? I see them behind you, but physical, relational, spiritual, and financial, right?
So
Is
we
it?
call them the big four pillars:
Yeah.
physicality, spirituality, relationships, and financial.
Yeah.
Physical, spiritual, relational, financial. Those are really the four pillars that we build on, and we help people. If we can get those four pillars right, man, everything else falls into place.
Yeah. How did you become so? I mean, you've grown a lot spiritually, obviously, since the voice that you heard or that, that life changing moment. Like, how are you growing spiritually? Because these are all listening, are all Christian men, right? All dudes that are on fire for Jesus and loving God. And so, what kind of was that transformational? I don't know, up until the right moment for you where you knew you were growing spiritually and you were doing the disciplines to get where you are now spiritually.
It started for me. I grew up in a home where we were churchgoers. We prayed as a family. We did family scripture study. We had gospel discussions. I went to church, and when I was 14 years old, that was when my conversion took place.
Mm,
Like that's when I was converted to the Savior, to Jesus.
mhm, mhm.
And then ever since 14, right, I studied and prayed, and I continued to study the Word of God, and I pray always, and like I would strive to walk with Jesus daily. And so even now that I'm almost 50, like it's who I am. Like discipleship is not an easy path. Like discipleship is a difficult path. That's why most people don't want to take it, because it requires us to consecrate our will to God. And I love, like, between prayer, meditation, studying the word, and more than just these rituals, like being kind to people, treating people with respect. Doesn't mean I become a doormat. Doesn't mean I let people use me and walk over and abuse me. It just means, like, I know how to be appropriate with people, and I am a doer of the word and not just a hearer only. So there's a lot of people who quote Jesus and quote scriptures, but let's be honest, they're not good people. They're dishonest people. They're unkind. They're gossipers. They're backbiters. No, I'm a man who I strive. I'm not perfect. Man, I strive to live the gospel and live the word of Jesus every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's perfect. I mean, it's all about progressive sanctification, and he's building in us and changing and molding and chipping away at us on a daily basis. What do you feel like he's maybe molding in you or refining in you most right now, like this season? In this last year, you kind of gave up the immersions, you've transitioned into this other more, I would say, academic with this book coming out. It's more of a, knowledge academic program, like curriculum. So what do you feel like God's refining in you most as a person?
Just how to be a liberator. Like, my calling is to liberate leaders, to find the men and women who are called to liberate, called to be beacons, called to live their purpose. They're purpose-driven entrepreneurs who just know, hey, I got a calling. That's my calling, just to liberate those, to find the beacons, activate the beacons so they can go lead men and women and wake them up and live their purpose. And again, physicality's got to be right, fitness, stamina, endurance, spirituality, purpose, faith, moral compass, true north, relationships, your marriage, your family, your children. Then, of course, all that, those three are nice, but if you can't pay your bills, then you can't produce, you're wasting your time. I'll tell someone, look, I know a guy right now, physically just a specimen, has no money. So he can't provide for his children, he can't provide for his wife. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you spending 3 hours in the gym? And I'm like, stop being a freaking loser, man. Go get a job, go provide. That is a man's sole purpose. Provide for your family, protect your family, preside and lead over your family. But again, this is why we emphasize all four. Then I know guys who make a ton of money, but they're disconnected from their spouse and kids, or they're disconnected from God, or they can't even see their toes over their stomach because they're so dang overweight. That doesn't work either. So you've got to find this harmony of, again, I call it weaponizing and cleansing the vessel of the body, tuning in and connecting with, like, God, making sure that your success in the home is really success, and then making sure you got money, like you know how to provide and create value.
Yeah. And you can steward, not everybody's got to be a millionaire, obviously, in order to take care of their people. But the Bible talks about the guy that doesn't provide is worse than an unbeliever, which, man, I don't want to be that. And so how are you are you seeking, do you kind of have a list of maybe those leaders, entrepreneurs that you kind of have your eye on, and are you going after them, or people beating down your door? And how do you screen those? Like, how do you, maybe that guy is a leader, but he is an atheist, or,
I don't care what religion. I don't care what religion. I've had a lot of agnostics, atheists, people who do not believe in God come to my program. Don't matter what your beliefs are.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters to me is that you know and have an idea of what you want to create and build, and you're committed to it, and we'll go do it together, and I'll help you.
Well, what do you do with that? Because obviously in your coaching, I would assume you're hitting the four pillars, right? So
100%.
What are you doing with that spiritual element for somebody that wants nothing to do with that? You give it up to them, leave it up to them?
No, not at all. I challenge them. I've had guys that come in that are like, God is like Santa Claus to me. He's not real. Within 2 years, they went and got baptized into a church in their community. They're leading a men's group. I mean, these guys are like in tears. They're like, thank you for showing me that there's a higher path. So I don't care what church. I don't even care if they want to go to church. I just say, look, there is, whether you believe it or not, like gravity, whether you believe in gravity or not, it's going to affect you. And so there is a spiritual power that is real.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never tapped into it, then you're operating at like 50%.
Mm.
The people who know how to tap into spirituality, into power, into the divine DNA of who we're born and created to be, boy, there's like
Yeah.
endless possibilities.
Yeah, that's good, man. No, that's awesome. And I think people can see you and be like, okay, I want what he's got. And then that opens the door, right? You may not be trying to force feed them Christianity or spirituality, but man, when they see it's what's working for you and your team and whoever, and they're like, okay, maybe there's something to that. Maybe they're more open to it. So I love that story, man, that you got people that are like, okay, I'm all in. And it may come down the road. It may not be today. But what about your program would you say, and it may not be just one thing because all people are different, but when that light goes on with people, what is that switch maybe that you see about your program that affects, that gets people's attention, that's like, wow, I get it now. Like I'm liberated. Like, is there one thing or is there a couple things about your teaching, your program, your coaching that is kind of the most liberating? That's kind of a common thread of
Well,
liberating folks.
this is what you'll see. You'll see men and women start to work out and take care of their bodies. You'll see men and or women start to date their spouse
Mm,
consistently, fall back in
mm,
love, have a like bulletproof marriage. You will see men and women and or families begin to worship and to pray or to meditate and to find just peace and serenity in a very noisy, chaotic, distraction-filled world with endless
mm.
distractions.
Yeah.
And then you'll see people actually produce more. And if they're already like, again, I have a client who was like trying to get to X amount, like, so let's just call it 20 million. And he was like 20 million, 20 million, 20 million, that's the number. He got to 20 million. And then we did some assessment. And he was like, yeah, this is not what I thought. And
Mm,
like half of that number was actually a better number for him. It just was. So we scaled back down. And it's not
mm.
always more money. So it's sometimes it's more money, sometimes it's just lifestyle. Sometimes it's like getting like unlocking yourself out of the cage that you built and getting out of the handcuffs of working a 60-hour. There's business owners who are like, oh, I'm a business owner. No, you're a high paid employee of your business. You're not an
Mm.
owner because you still got to work. And I'm not saying owners don't work. We still work. We just work at a different level, a high level. We have employees and systems and teams and strategies in place.
Mm.
Like if you can't take a vacation for a month, if you can't leave your business, you don't have a business. You have a job. So, you ask me, what do I see? You just start to see people transform even at incremental steps. You see the transformation. You see that they're more patient and kind with their children. You see muscles start to develop. And I've had women clients that, again, this is their words. They're like, I was so skinny fat. And you see them just lean and ripped and shredded and healthy and happy. You see people with multiple streams of income. You see people get out of the Amazon. I had a client who was an Amazon delivery driver.
Yeah.
Now she runs her own business. She's in like 3 countries, 11 states, hundreds of
Dude.
students, great revenue. Like she was an Amazon delivery
Yeah.
driver,
Yeah.
and now she runs her own business.
Bro, I'm telling you, if you can get dialed in physically, and I'm spiritual first. I mean, that's where nothing works without that. But man, if you can get like a 1 and a 1A, if your physical body is dialed in, everything else is better. Like it all
Yeah.
just is better because you're more confident. What can you do with confidence? A lot. What can you do with stamina? A lot. Like a lot of things get better. And I've tried to, I'm preaching to my kids all the time. I see your sons working out with you. Like I know they're watching dad. And I kind of want to, before I go into that, I want to talk about fathers and sons in a minute. But before we do that, man, this book, I noticed you made a comment. I can't remember where I saw it. You considered a ghostwriter, or maybe you even had one for this
We
book,
actually did a ghost. In fact, I
and
paid a ghostwriter 25 grand.
and he trimmed it down to a point of maybe doing it an injustice. And you said, "Nah, let's scrap it. Let's go back to full content." What was the deciding factor there for you?
Yeah, look, like we paid the ghostwriter, came highly recommended. Great. I mean, they're good.
Yeah, yeah,
But I started reading the book. I'm like, this ain't my voice. This is a warm, fuzzy airport book. I'm not writing a warm fuzzy airport book to just make you feel good. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to produce. I want your life to change and to transform. I want you to produce results. I want you to be
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, this book changed my world. See, the book that did that for me was I was 19 years old. So I was in Micronesia, Guam, and got the book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People,
Mm-hmm.
Stephen R. Covey.
Cove,
That
yeah.
book rocked my world. I was like, that is one of the great classics. And I remember back then I said, this was like 1995. I'm like, I want to write a book where people read my book and like, oh my gosh, Setema. Like I talk about Stephen Covey. I quote Seven Habits. My boys know the Seven Habits, right? We can quote the Seven
Mm-hmm.
Habits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted. So I just knew like, I'm not going to put a warm fuzzy book out.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who I am. I'm like, you want teeth, you want bite, you want a dog, and you want
Mm-hmm.
to change. This is the book you got to read. So again, we beefed it back up.
Yeah, and I think don't you have some spots in there for either exercises or journals or some sort of written?
Oh,
Do you
there's
have?
it.
Yeah, there's a yeah,
This is a full working book. Like
yeah.
this is not one of those books where you're going to read and you're just like, oh, I'm so excited. No,
It's
this is
almost like a
work.
textbook. Yeah, yeah.
This is real work, and we were going to have pages in the book, but now I just say get your journal. There's a lot of places in the book where I'm like, go
Okay,
get
okay,
your
okay.
journal, do the exercises.
I love it. Dude, the written word, man, is powerful and people buy in when they see their own handwriting and they hear their own words. Like there's a stakeholder who is born whenever they do that. You would think that because it's their life, they are an automatic stakeholder. Well, sometimes they're not, they got to buy in mentally before they actually become that. So, all right, no, I think that's good, man. I mean, that's thing's going to have so much meat on it. All right, fathers and sons, as we kind of transitioned and land the plane a little bit, man, your kids are watching you. Like you're the whole story, like from here to here and a bunch in between. And now you're this guy who's equipping and empowering and liberating people. Man, what would they say is about your leadership? Like how would they describe it if you're not here and they're in a room with me? Man, what would they say about dad's leadership that they most admire? Maybe something they might change.
I would say these are some of the things they might say. Man, my dad doesn't mess around. Like my dad was hard on us. I'm tough on my sons. We talk like often, consistently about not being a chump
Mm,
and about being a champ, how to take care of women, girls, and children, how to honor God, honor parents. Like we talk about these things about like being a serial self-talker, like really knowing how to create and build yourself, how to let go of other things. And so I think they would say like, yeah, my dad, he don't mess around. He was hard on us. My dad was committed and he loved us. Like I tell my boys I love them probably 10, 15, 20 times a day. I'm like, I love you boys. I could be chewing them out. Hey, don't you ever do that again. Do you understand me? Am I clear? Like, yes, daddy. I love you boys. Like, love you too. Like it's love, a lot of love in my home.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're equipping, what I consider warriors, man, and I mean, especially in a spiritual world, like there is a battle not go that is going on that we can't see, and there are ways we can prepare them for that, but there's also ways we can prepare them for real tangible life in the natural. And men and sons just have a different role in each other's life. What do you say about rites of passage? Because I've failed at this. I think our society and modern day culture has sort of failed at this, and maybe there's some people doing it right. But do you feel like that's a necessity with dads and sons, or do you do it, or what would you say about rites of passage?
Yeah, there are rites of passages. And I tell my boys, like, look, there's just certain things, like, again, there's certain movies. I'm like, you gotta watch this.
Yeah.
It's time to watch this movie, right? It's time to watch Braveheart, time to watch 300, time to watch The Patriot. There's just certain movies. It's like, dude, there's some movies like this is what it's about, man. Like this is it. Um, I know even spiritually, there's kind of benchmarks inside of the church we go to of, we call it like getting the priesthood and getting God's, authority to act in his name. The gym is a rite of passage in our family.
Mm,
Like my boys start lifting at like 10, 11 years old. So they know the gym inside and out. Like
Hmm.
they love the gym. They all have gym memberships. They know when we vacation, I'm going to a gym, not the hotel gym. I will
Right.
drive 30 minutes to an hour. We read a lot in our we read a lot. There's no video games during the week. None of that
Mm.
nonsense during the week. Like it's chores, it's reading, it's schoolwork. Obviously driving. My son's 15. He's been driving for like 2 years. I know I get in trouble for this, but my 12-year-old's going to be 13. I start teaching them how to drive when they're 13. Rite of
Hmm.
passage. You got to know how to operate a vehicle. Like you got to know
Hmm.
how to operate guns. And we have a lot of conversations. I talk to them early about sex, intimacy, a woman's
Hmm.
body, a man's body, and
Mm.
just so I do believe there's like certain, again, back in our days, like driver's license was a rite of passage. Today,
Yeah.
it's just not a big deal. People can Uber. They don't care to get a driver's license. I was like
Right.
16. Got my license age 16, and I've been driving
Yeah.
for a while. So, and I believe the rites of passage are important because it lets them know, hey, you're graduating. Like time to
Mm.
step up with the new level. There's a new level of responsibility. And when again, I love the movie Braveheart. It's old, right? It's made in the mid 90s with Mel
Hmm.
Gibson. But I'm like, this dude who portrayed William Wallace, like he put it all on the line for something. Like he was willing to go fight and be
Hmm.
strong. I'm like, that's what you got to do as a husband and father. So I
Yeah.
believe rites of passage are important, man. There's a lot of them. Every family's a little different.
Yeah.
But I love what we do with my family.
Yeah, sounds good, man. And I don't think it's just a one hit wonder either. I don't think it's just a big, one ceremony and boom, it's a rite of passage. And yeah, there's
Lots of
little
rites of
compartments.
passages.
Yeah, a lot
Yep.
of compartments to that beast, and a lot of time frames, But I'm with you. My kids have some friends that are 17, 18, and they haven't got a license yet, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like without a license, man. Like I remember that. Like you said, that was just the chains were off. I was out. Independence. Here we go. Now that didn't mean anything about me being a good man or a contributor, but that just meant freedom. What do you see? What do you see is most needed right now? Let's say from men, boys to men. Like our mutual friend Ryan Mickler says, one of the key things that makes a boy a man is becoming more of a producer than you are a consumer. You've
Yep.
used the term produce several times. What is lacking in our society? Is it just that we got a lot of consumers who are comfortable, a lot of grown men that are really boys, a lot of older males that are boys. I won't even call them men.
Yeah.
Where's the separation in our culture right now?
Look, there's spiritual warfare. Like we know
Yep,
that. They believe if there's a battle going on. And if the adversary can get men to not be men, to be
yep,
boys,
that's right.
to not provide, to be weak, to be dumb, to be docile, to be an order taker, to be a follower, he wins because the countries and nations that have no men, strong, masculine men, those countries get taken over and dominated. Like we don't got that problem here in the United States for the most part. We've got some like real alpha leaders. Now, what I think
Hmm.
is missing, um, an awareness of like there's a real battle. There's a real
Hmm.
spiritual warfare going on. Number two, men have to be men. That means your body, like if I know guys that couldn't drop down and do 50 push-ups right now, do
Right,
10, 20 pull-ups, couldn't go run a mile. They would have a
right,
heart attack.
right,
How can you protect your family?
right.
That's ridiculous. You don't love your family. Oh, I'll die for my family. Why don't you live for your family? Put the donut down and go work out. There's men also who don't lead their families. They don't, how can you lead your family if you cannot lead yourself physically,
Yeah.
spiritually, relationally, financially? So you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot lift higher than where you stand. And like what I believe today, like men have got to step up and show their young men how to be men, how to build, how to use their hands. And I use the same words like producers, you got to produce more than you consume. Consumers consume more than they produce. Which means you got to create more value than you consume. Another thing that I
Mm-hmm.
think is missing today is just being able to do hard things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like in World War II, the kids were lying about their age so they could go to war. Today,
Mm.
we have men trying to pretend to be women and playing women's sports. What is going on? Like, where, like, we had men storming the beaches, right, in World War II. today, if a kid's missing his, oh, I don't have my candy grape vape, I'm gonna go cry in the corner. What are we doing?
Right.
But
Yeah.
men have become docile, dumb, and weak. So men got to challenge each other. I have a buddy who's doing a bodybuilding show. I'm doing a bodybuilding show. He's my cousin. And I left him a message yesterday. I said, he was like, oh man, what do you guys think about chicken thighs versus chicken breast? He's like, chicken breast is dry. And I said, well, if you want to take second and third place, eat chicken thighs. And then he says, but dude, it's so tough to swallow chicken breast. I said, like I said, if you want to lose, eat the chicken thigh, more fat. And I just said, dude, we're not going to do this bodybuilding show to do the bodybuilding show. We're going to do the show to win. We're playing to win. So I don't know what world you're in, but you know, like, and again, it's a mentality that our men have forgotten how to do hard things, how to push your body, how to punish, like just to suffer, be willing to learn and develop and grow, and how to, what's the word? How to delay gratification.
That's right.
Like, we want it now. How about,
Yep.
And it's true, the longer you have to wait and suffer for something, the greater, the deeper, the wider the joy and the satisfaction that you get. So
We've lost the art of sacrifice. Like we have lost how to define that or what that even, we run so far away from that word now because everything's so easy, right? You mentioned Uber. We've got people that'll bring food to your house, any kind of food you want, any time of day. I mean, if you want to pay for something, you really don't have to leave your house ever. If you want to pay for it, but we don't know what sacrifice. We don't know what walking, a mile or two is like to go get the mail or whatever. I don't know whatever an example, but yeah, I think I'm trying to teach my kids sacrifice, but in a world, I mean, it's hard to parent today, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's a lot harder now than it was 30 years ago to parent through some of the modern conveniences that are out there. And so it takes intentional effort to do that. It can be done. It just takes dads like you and I actually be willing to have uncomfortable conversations, awkward conversations, and requiring more of the kids than they require of themselves, basically. And so I think, I don't know, are dads doing it right? Are most dads that you know doing it right? Or do they have a long way to go? Yeah.
The dads that I know, 100% doing it right.
Because you don't hang out with those guys. Yeah.
I hang in the circles where dads they got businesses and great jobs and they work hard and they take care of their body. You don't got to look like a, Thor and, Thor.
Yeah.
Like you don't need you just got to be strong and take care of your health.
Yeah.
The dads I know take care of their families. They're good men. They're kind. They're not these dudes, shooting themselves up with tight clothes. And you never have, if someone has to be like, I'm an alpha. Like, I'm like,
right.
No, you're not.
Right.
The real alphas that I know, they're taking care of their families. They're leaving their communities better than they found them. They're leading quietly behind the scenes. They're doing things without complaining. And they're showing their sons how to do it, not just telling them. They're showing, this is why I love my boys seeing me in the gym. My boys seeing me in my business. My boys seeing, my son came with me to one of my speaking gigs and I got paid pretty good for an hour. And he was like, what? Like you got paid how much for 1 hour? And then they put us up in this awesome hotel and they gave us money for food. And he was just like, Dad, this is the coolest. I was like, yeah, your daddy's the man. Like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And he loved it. Like,
and y'all get this for free. You get this guy for free. Yeah, no, so that's good.
It was good for them to just see it,
For sure. Leading by example, for sure, man. Well, I noticed, did I dream this or did you go to DC? Did you get some FaceTime with President Trump and Tulsi and those folks?
Yeah, Tulsi, good friend of mine. She's like my sister, and she invited me to the inauguration. She invited me to sit in her hearing. So I went out there and sat right behind her, had dinner with her and her husband and her family and our part of the team.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, I love what Tulsi stands for. I love what President Trump stands for. Are they perfect people? No, but none of us are. So, you look at results. Again, I call it results-based coaching.
Yeah.
Trump is results-based president. Like,
that's right.
America first.
Argue with it. Right. Yeah.
Kick out the people who are hurting the economy, kick out the illegals. Like, and I know I don't want to get to that conversation, but I love Tulsi Gabbard is an incredible powerful leader,
Yeah.
as is Trump, and
Yeah.
just 100% support.
That's good. No, I saw you out there. That's really cool, man. I didn't know you guys were that you and Hurt or knew each other that well, but yeah, that's a good place to be right now as far as who I feel like is calling the plays, and I feel good about it now. So as we close up here, man, encourage the country, encourage the nation. And, you know, maybe this will get shared with a lot of people, but I mean, if you had to give a speech, you know, in you know, from the Oval Office, and you're giving the speech to the nation, what do you want people to know about our God, our country, our roles as people? What's a good encouragement for the country right now?
Yeah, I would say when this country was built, it was built on the phrase "In God We Trust," and these men were inspired. Right, they were inspired men who felt called to declare independence and freedom. And I would say, if I was speaking from the Oval Office, the government has too much power. We need to put the power back into the states, back into the people, and every individual. You have a duty to God, to your family, to your country, to be the best version of you. We can all disagree on all kinds of things, but we can respect each other, and we can stand up for each other and for what's right in our country. And, you know, as long as the laws are fair and just, like sustain the law. Again, I would then say we're getting rid of the IRS. We're getting rid of all these.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of things that like people in the government, the small group of people, they have taken into their hands to just line their pockets. They do not care about the American people. And I would say it's time to put the power back. This country is for the people, by the people. Like, it's our country, not a one or two people that pull the strings. And the
That's
God we
right.
trust. Let's go.
Let's go. That's it, man. That's a good way to end it right there, dude. I appreciate you doing this. SetemaNolly.com, am I right? And
That's
then
right.
where else should we try to support you, man? Or how can we support you?
No, just follow me on social. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And then again, if buy the book and the book comes out, just pick up your copy. And if you're not satisfied with it, I tell everyone we'll give you you got 30 days. If you're just not completely satisfied, I'll give you your money back. Like it's that bold of a promise. If you take the book, your world will change. Without a doubt, you will see possibilities that you could never have seen before, from your physicality, your finances, your purpose, your families. Like, your life will become so much sweeter. So pick up the book, follow me on social, and just keep being a great individual.
It's good. It's good. He's been the one and only Setema Nolly. We've been last in line. Be blessed.